Well, where are we here? We're going to go over the oil that has been in the town car, or all of the oil labs that have been in the town car since day one, since the original chaos started. So, let's label this real quick so I know where. This is number 1. This is going to be number 3. This is going to be number 2. This is going to be number 4. This is going to be number 5. And this is going to be number 6. And then I'll throw a bonus in at the end. So, we started testing the oil in a Lincoln Town Car with 228,000 miles on it. I drove that car about 31,000 miles before I started testing the oil in it. I bought it used. I bought it used at 197 miles, 197,000 miles. So when I started testing the oil, my first oil change was at my first tested oil change was at 225,000 miles. The first oil that I used in the car that I was not very impressed with was Mobil 1 Extended Performance. And that was you see right here, 5W30 Mobil 1 Extended Performance. It's upside down because I don't want my personal information out there. Alright. What I noticed about this report. If you look here, it says your engine is wearing blah 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 blah. I pulled this at 3,000 miles. The reason I pulled this oil at 3,000 miles was in the beginning, the first 1,000 miles, it sounded pretty good. After I got through the first 1,000 miles on this oil, it started getting pretty clattery. I didn't like the way it sounded, and I noticed that not that it ran rough. It just didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right with how smooth the engine was running with this oil. If you look, aluminum is good, chromium is good, iron is good, copper is good. Get down to molybdenum. There's not really that much molybdenum in there. That's a actual very good bearing protectant additive that's in your oil. Not a lot of it there. Boron, same thing. Not a lot of it there. Silicon, very, very high. I was running a K&N filter. That was another reason for the short OCI. That silicon should be like way, 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 way lower than that. Like most of mine are 17 or less, 15 or less, somewhere in there. Sodium is good. Calcium is good. Calcium cuts down on that acidity building in the oil. Diesels especially need that. Phosphorus is decent, and zinc is pretty decent. You get down here overall, and when you look at the sus viscosity at 210 degrees Fahrenheit and CST viscosity at 100 degrees Celsius, you see it's kind of low. It's not really where it should be, and that was one of the huge things for me that I noticed it started to shear very, very early. It's one of the reasons why I did not care for Mobil 1 Extended Performance at all, but I just ordered it the other day, and it's supposed to be here today. I had to order more Castrol Edge 20,000 mile formula, and I actually ordered more of the Mobil 1 Extended Performance 20,000 mile formula so I can rerun it for you guys again, a full 5,000 miles with a regular filter. Everything else seemed to be pretty good. I said it still had plenty of TBN at 3,000 miles. That's 4.8, the TBN rating right there. And then if you look at insolubles is 0.2, that is very good. It means the filter is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So readings overall were okay. Not that great though. Nothing to really be too impressed with. So at that point, I switched to right here. I switched to Pennzoil Ultra Platinum 5W20. In the beginning, I was running 5W20, then I switched it to 5W30 because the two are allowable in my car, but nonetheless, 5W20 is what the car is rated for. I ran this oil 5,000 miles. What I noticed about this oil is it sounded very smooth. Pennzoil Platinum Ultra sounded very good. I didn't get a lot of rattles or ticks or anything out of it. It sounded just nice. It sounded really good. Aluminum was lower. Chromium was the same. Iron was lower than with Mobil 1. Copper was 1 point higher. Molybdenum was 91, where the Mobil 1 was 122, so Mobil 1 did have a little bit more. But where the Ultra made up for it is boron is actually a little bit better of a bearing or a oil additive. It was more boron by 10 points. So Ultra was actually a better additive. And then the silicon rating went down to 25. So silicon came down, which meant, you know, by taking that K&N out of there and putting a regular filter in there, I was doing myself some service. Sodium was just a little bit higher, but not much. Calcium, 1,073, where the Mobil had 1,177, so Mobil did have a little bit more calcium in it. Phosphorus was 656 with the Ultra and 695 with the Mobil. And then zinc was 749 and 834. So 749 with the Penzoil, 834 with the Mobil. So Mobil did have a couple additives that were a little bit higher, but I noticed overall that the Ultra just sounded way better. It just sounded way better. There was plenty of TBN left over, and it said the sus viscosity at 210 degrees with Mobil was 58, or with Pennzoil Ultra Platinum was 58.3, where Mobil was 50.9. That's why I didn't like Mobil. It started to shear early. It just didn't hold up very well. The CST viscosity at 100 degrees Celsius was 9.74. That was at the higher end of the spectrum. Mobil was only 7.53. Let me show you real quick. This right here is the Ultra, and this right here is the Mobil. So Ultra didn't have as much molybdenum. Ultra had a little bit more boron than Mobil, which I like boron better than molybdenum. Seems to be a better, more versatile bearing protectant. Calcium was 1,073, where the Mobil was 1,177, so Mobil did have a better additive there, or a little bit more. Phosphorus was a little bit more. Also, zinc was a little bit more. If you come down here to how they tested under heat, the sus viscosity was better with Ultra by far than the Mobil. And the CST viscosity at 9.74 was way better than Mobil. And then TBN left over. Mobil had a higher rating at 3,000 miles at 4.8, where Ultra, 2,000 miles more, had 3.6. The flash point was better. No, the flash point was a little lower. Overall, the Ultra did not shear like the Mobil did. The Ultra was much quieter, and it seemed to be, the engine seemed to be running a lot smoother with Pennzoil Platinum Ultra. So now let's move forward to my analysis 3. My third analysis, again another 5,000 miles, was Amsoil 5W30 Signature series. There was more aluminum with the Amsoil, which was a little concerning. I had a couple extra higher points of aluminum, not big, but It was 6, where the other ones were 4 and 3. Chromium was 1. Iron was a little bit lower with the Amsoil at 9. Copper was at 2, so it was the lowest overall with the Amsoil. Molybdenum was the highest with the Amsoil Signature series at 173. Boron was the highest at 169. Calcium was 1104. Mobil had more calcium than Amsoil did. Calcium is very important for keeping acidity down in your oil level, especially with diesels. Magnesium 813 with Amsoil. The Amsoil was higher than all the other ones by about 60 points. Phosphorus was 635 with Amsoil, which that's pretty even across the board. Mobil still had a little bit more phosphorus than all the other ones did. Mobil was at 695, but Amsoil was at 635. 726 zinc with Amsoil, where Mobil had 834. The sus viscosity was 54.1, and the CST viscosity with Amsoil was 8.52. Pennzoil Platinum Ultra beat both Mobil and Amsoil Signature series out for the sus viscosity and the CST viscosity. I noticed right at about 3,000 miles with the Amsoil Signature series, I started to hear a little bit of noise, a little bit more clatter going on with the engine. Amsoil only lasted about 3,000 miles before I started hearing that, where the Pennzoil Platinum Ultra all the way to 5,000 miles, I wasn't really hearing that much clattery noise going on with the Ultra. TBN left over with the Amsoil Signature series was 4.0 at 5,000 miles, and it actually had the lowest insoluble count throughout the range, so it had 0.1. So here we are, Mobil, Pennzoil Ultra, Amsoil. Higher molybdenum, higher boron, lower calcium, lower phosphorus, lower zinc. So Mobil had more phosphorus, and Pennzoil Platinum Ultra had more phosphorus. Mobil had more zinc, and Pennzoil Platinum Ultra had more zinc. There's the Mobil, here's the Pennzoil Platinum Ultra, there's the Amsoil. So I'm still, because of the engine clattering and stuff like that, I'm concerned with Mobil. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm going to rerun it again and see if my results change, but I'm not really a fan of Mobil so far through this testing. My go-to, because of it not breaking down and shearing as fast, would be the Ultra Platinum from Penzoil so far. Alright, so here we are, another 5,000 miles, Royal Purple 5W30. And I have to say that I was quite impressed with how the engine sounded with this oil. It almost sounded just as nice as the Ultra Platinum with Royal Purple. I was pretty impressed with it overall. Aluminum was 3. Chromium was 1. Iron was 9. Copper was 2. So far, that's actually the best one out of the 4 of them so far, aluminum-wise. Iron-wise, it tied with Amsoil, so must be protecting the system pretty good. Copper was tied with Amsoil. Those two were the lowest out of all the oils so far. Lead was 0, tin was 0, molybdenum was 79. So it actually had the lowest molybdenum out of all 4 so far. The Mobil, the Penzoil, the Amsoil, the Royal Purple had the lowest molybdenum at 5,000 miles. For some reason, titanium was 25. And some people said they may use a specific type of titanium as an additive. And it's kind of weird that they will, but it's been done. And they may have something like that where some kind of additive may identify as titanium. Boron, excellent lubricating properties with boron. So Royal Purple had the highest, 130. Nah, not the highest. It was the second highest. Mobil had 88. Pennzoil Platinum had 98. Amsoil had 169. Royal Purple had 130. Calcium was the lowest. Actually, almost tied with Ultra Platinum. Calcium was 1090. Ultra Platinum was 1073. Amsoil Signature Series was 1104. And Mobil was 1177. Phosphorus was, knock it off. Phosphorus was 644 with the Royal Purple. And let's see, the zinc was 725. So Amsoil and Royal Purple had the same zinc at 725, or 726 for Amsoil, 725 for Royal Purple. Phosphorus was 644 with Royal Purple, but it was 635 with Amsoil, and 656 with Ultra, and 695 with Mobil. Magnesium was 775 with Royal Purple. Amsoil was 813. Ultra was 763 and Mobil was 779. The shear, or the sus viscosity with Royal Purple was 59.5, and that's why it was so quiet. It just wasn't breaking down like like some of the other ones was. And this, the sad part about this one is I actually idled the car quite a bit when I use this oil. This was it was kind of cold. Still, this was like kind of one of those real cool days, and I didn't want to drive home. And I remember what happened. I idled it from like 10 o'clock at night until like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and I just slept in the dealership parking lot because I was extremely exhausted, and I did not want to put other people's lives in danger. So I just slept at work and went and got some drinks. But anyway, sus viscosity at 210 degrees Fahrenheit was 59.5. It was the highest out of all of them. Even better than the Penzoil Platinum Ultra. And then the CST viscosity was 10.08. Yep. It was the highest out of all of them. It did say the flash point was lowered at 385. That was like where it needs to stay at that or above it. And it met it. But that's probably because of all the excessive idling that I did. Says the TBN still had 3.2 left. I probably could have ran it another couple thousand miles, but it's not what I do. You don't start getting worried until you get down to a 2 on your TBN, and it's just not something that I want to chance. So that's why 5,000 miles is very important for me to change my oil at that mileage. Let me show you what's going on here real quick. Remember, Mobil, Pennzoil Platinum Ultra, Amsoil Signature Series, Royal Purple. The gray line is just a average. Moly was the lower here. Moly is very important, so I wish that they should do better in that area. Boron was nice, decent. Calcium, phosphorus, and zinc, some of them were lower, some of them are higher in other categories, but overall, not bad. Still a lot of additive left there. And then when you get down here, you can look and see it. The sus viscosity, CST viscosity, flash point. You can look and see fuel trace. You see how it indicated trace here? That's where I was really idle in that vehicle a lot. So fuel was kind of getting diluted. See right here, fuel percent. And it says trace. That's because I idled the car a lot during this time. All right, so we are going to another 5,000 miles. This one is Shell Rotella gas truck formula. It was sent to me. People were really, really interested in this oil. Put 5,000 miles on it. Aluminum is 4. Chromium 0. Iron 9. Copper 2. Molybdenum 138, kind of lower to middle of the pack. Boron is 50. It was the lowest out of all the oils so far at 5,000 miles. Calcium is 1169, middle of the pack. Magnesium was 533, lower portion of the pack. Phosphorus 653, middle of the pack. Zinc 731, middle of the pack. And sus viscosity at 56, and CST viscosity at 9. I didn't care for this oil too much. Flashpoint was at 375, and there was actually only 3.0 TBN left, and the insolubles was 0.3. So, overall, the oil looks good. I wasn't impressed with it at all. It doesn't have a lot of additive. It doesn't have a lot of protection to it, but at the same time, it's sufficient. There was some clattering going on the last 1,000 to 1,500 miles. It did start to break down a little bit more than what you would expect. It's at the lower end of the spectrum with how it's holding up with, actually with the Mobil and Amsoil Signature series, both of them at the lower end of the spectrum. The two top dogs for how they hold up and fight shearing were actually Pennzoil Platinum Ultra and the Royal Purple. And the Royal Purple I kind of abused because I let that idle for, there was a couple times where it was 4 or 5 hours where I slept, and then there was another time, that one time where I did it from 10 o'clock at night to 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, so it was at 8, 9 hours or so. So even though some of the other ones had better additive package to it overall, I noticed with Pennzoil Platinum Ultra and Royal Purple I didn't get as much clattering and ticking and tapping going on, which these town cars are kind of known for. So, and none of them used oil in between at all. So let me give you a shot of this, and then we'll go from there. Again, Mobil, Pennzoil Ultra Platinum, Amsoil, Royal Purple, Shell Rotella gas truck formula. I had to write that number in right there because I forgot to write it on the paper, so they didn't put it down. I give you a second so you can look at this. I'm not impressed with these numbers down here. Again, Mobil, Ultra Platinum, Amsoil, Royal Purple, Shell Rotella gas truck formula. The oil that we just got done testing is the Amsoil XL 5W30. I feel like this oil, the Amsoil XL, really redeemed itself above the Signature series. The distributor that sent this to me said, I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to like this XL better than you like the Signature series. Even though the XL is not the Signature series, it's not their mega nice high-end brand, I've got a feeling you're going to like the XL better. And I have to say, by far, he was 100% correct. Although it wasn't a top performing oil, it is one of the top overall from what I've tried so far, by far. I just enjoyed it. The engine wasn't very noisy. It wasn't clattery. It did start to get a little ticky-tappy and stuff around 4,000 miles. It held up a lot longer than the regular Amsoil did, and or the Signature series did. So let's go over the numbers real quick and let's go through that. Aluminum is 2. Iron is 6. Very impressed with how low the numbers are. Copper is 3. Tin is 1. Molybdenum, not a lot. Where we have, let's see, Mobil, Pennzoil Platinum Ultra, Amsoil Signature series. So the Amsoil Signature series at 5,000 miles had 173. The Amsoil XL at 5,000 miles had 91. So the Signature series did have a better number overall left over when it was done. When I look at the boron, the Signature series at 5,000 miles had 169. The XL had 93. The amount of calcium at 5,000 miles in the Signature series is 1104. The XL has 1369, so much higher, much better package there. The magnesium at 5,000 miles, 813. The magnesium in the XL, 1047. The phosphorus in Signature series is 635. The phosphorus in XL, 760. Much nicer. The zinc in Amsoil Signature series was 726 at 5,000 miles, but the zinc in XL, 848. So all those areas at the top where it was lower, it made up for it majorly with the supporting additives in the bottom, like zinc, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium. It really did great there. The sus viscosity at 210 degrees Fahrenheit was 58.4. Did very well. And the CST viscosity at 100 degrees Celsius was 9.76. Did very well. Flashpoint was the same as the Signature series at 395. It had a TBN rating of 5.0 left over, where the Signature series at 5,000 miles only had a 4.0. So the Amsoil XL exceeded the Amsoil Signature series at 5,000 miles. Yeah. Let me show you real quick, and I'll label each one of them so you know what they are as we go down. So here we are. Amsoil XL, Shell Rotella, Royal Purple, Amsoil 5W30, the Signature Series, Pennzoil Platinum Ultra, and Mobil. I'll kind of come back here a little bit so you can see. Give you a nice shot so you can pause the screen, give yourself a chat, give yourself a second to look at everything. Amsoil XL, I was about 310 miles short of 5,000 miles, but that wouldn't have made a difference with those numbers. It just really ended up being a really good oil. And then here's the bottom portion. XL, Shell Rotella 5W30 gas truck formula, Royal Purple, Amsoil 5W30 Signature Series at Penzoil Platinum Ultra, and then Mobil 1 Extended Performance. If I had to pick the best oil out of this group so far, it would be a toss-up between the Penzoil Platinum Ultra for me and the Amsoil XL. And maybe I would sneak the Royal Purple in there. But it would be Penzoil Platinum Ultra for me. Amsoil XL, those two are kind of like tied. And the other ones, I wouldn't do Shell Rotella gas truck formula. Again, that was the worst sounding one with my engine. Amsoil Signature Series, I just don't see the point in paying that amount of money when the XL line seems to be working better for me. And the Mobil 1 Extended Performance, I'm going to rerun again, but that was a disaster running it with that K&N filter, so I'm going to give that one more chance. That's why I pulled that oil early. I'm going to share one more piece of paperwork with you that's not this car, just as a bonus here. So get ready for this. I know this is a long video. Some of you wanted me to test. I threw it out there. I said, you guys want me to test that oil that's been sitting in the Grand Marquis? Now, that we talked about, all that the oil testing we just did was all on the town car. You guys know I just found a garage find Grand Marquis. Excuse me. Grand Marquis. And the last place that it had the oil change was one of those fast lube centers with just a generic oil filter and generic in-house 5W20 oil. And I got that oil tested. I asked you guys, is that something you'd like to see? And every one of you said, yes. That oil has been sitting in that vehicle for 6 years or whatever. And okay, so remember, thing's been sitting for 6 years. So on cold start, I knocked a lot of rust and stuff that was on those cylinder walls down into that oil. So don't consider that in any of this. Let's look specifically at the additive package. Aluminum, 3. Chromium, 1. Iron, here's where all the rust and stuff comes in that was built up on those cylinder walls, 45. This thing hadn't been started in years, and I just fired it right up without putting any Marvel Mystery Oil or anything in there. Copper, 2. Molybdenum, 122. It's a pretty good average for a quick lube oil. 122. Boron, 62. Calcium, 1,705. Pretty decent. Magnesium, 8. It was very low. Phosphorus, 578. And zinc, 663. Now, sus viscosity, 54.8. CST viscosity, 8.71. Not terrible for 6-year-old oil. TBN rating, 3.4. Insoluble, 0.2. So that meant I could have kept running that oil, and I would have been completely fine. And that was only 2,000 miles on that oil. So quick lube, a fast lube oil change place with just a regular 5W30, 5W20 fast lube filter, you're probably safe for about 4,000 miles without having to worry about anything. Maybe 5 max. No issue there. But it is lower numbers in this oil. This oil is not very high. What did I treat the vehicle with next as a nice freshen up for this thing? The seals, the engine, the motor, everything, just to get some really good high quality stuff through there. Redline. Redline. Let me run you down this real quick. When I tell you, you ain't going to believe these numbers. You ain't going to believe these numbers. At 5,000 miles, aluminum 2, chromium 1, iron 19. Now we're getting back to normal numbers. Copper 1, molybdenum 415. That is triple what we have seen so far with any other oil. Redline is an amazing, outstanding product. Boron, 84. Not super high, but it's got 3 times the amount of moly, so you don't, I mean, what are you losing? Calcium, 2,611. The amount of additive package that's left over that would fight the amount of acidity that would build up in that crankcase is just astounding. Magnesium, 322. Phosphorus, 11. 1,115. 1,115. If we look back at all our other oils that we've tested so far, let's look at calcium. The highest calcium number that we have out of that whole entire batch is Amsoil XL at 1369. The Amsoil Signature series, that's supposed to be the top dog, had 1104. Redline, after 5,000 miles being run in an engine, which I'm going to end up running it in the town car as well. I understand this is the Grand Marquis, and it only has 30,000 miles on it. At 22,611, that is absolutely crazy that much is left over. Phosphorus, 1,115. Let's look at phosphorus on all the other ones. It's almost double with Redline than it is any of the other ones. A major lubricant for the inside of that engine. The highest number that we have on the chart is Amsoil XL at 760. The number for Redline, 1,115. The Signature series, Amsoil, 635. So Redline has more left over than those other two, but XL is better than regular Signature series. Zinc, you ain't gonna believe this, 1,256. The highest that we've tested out of anything so far. The zinc in the XL was 848. The zinc in the Signature series was 726. The zinc in the Ultra Platinum was 749. That is absolutely crazy. And at 5,000 miles, it still has a TBN rating of 4.8. And the sus viscosity, listen to this. This was by far the best sounding oil that I've had in any engine that I've heard so far, how quiet this was. Even when Ryan heard it, he was like, man, yours sounds so much better than mine. 62.6. was the sus viscosity and 10.96 was the CST viscosity. The only thing that came close to that out of any of the other oils that we tested was Royal Purple and Pennzoil Platinum Ultra. Royal Purple was a little bit better than Pennzoil Platinum Ultra. So the sus viscosity was 62.6. The Amsoil within the town car was 8.52. The Royal Purple was 10.08. The XL was 9.75 or 9.76. That was the CST viscosity. CST viscosity for Redline was 10.96. CST viscosity for Mobil was 7.53, which is terrible. The CST viscosity for Pennzoil Platinum Ultra was 9.74, which is decent. Amsoil Signature Series 8.52, kind of low. Royal Purple, or Amsoil 395, or no, 8.52, kind of low. That's what it was. Royal Purple 10.08. Rotella gas truck formula is 9.08. Amsoil XL 9.76. So if I had to go with an overall best oil that I've heard so far, even though it wasn't in the town car, the last two oils were in the Grand Marquis, which I'm going to try those same oils in the town car. I'd have to say so far, based on what I'm seeing, Redline would be the best full pure synthetic oil that I've tried so far with substantially higher additive package. And then I would have to say Pennzoil Platinum Ultra. And then I would have to say Amsoil XL. And then Royal Purple. I didn't see anything special about Amsoil Signature Series. Now, the Amsoil XL is a damn good oil. That seems to be a really good oil. I was very happy with the XL. And the additive package was just phenomenal on what was left over. So it's kind of hard to choose between Amsoil XL, the Redline, and Pennzoil Platinum Ultra, and Royal Purple. I think if I had to pick one of the four, it would be Pennzoil Platinum Ultra because it's the most affordable and it does an excellent job for just a regular economical full synthetic oil. But if I knew I wanted the best to put in my vehicle overall, it would be between Redline. If I had like a performance vehicle, it would be Redline. If I had just a regular vehicle that I really wanted to take care of, it would be Amsoil XL. I like the Amsoil XL better than the Amsoil Signature Series. That's kind of my conclusion right now. So if I was on a budget and I didn't have a performance vehicle and I just wanted really good quality oil, I would pick Pennzoil Platinum Ultra with a decent name brand filter, like a synthetic filter. If I had a performance vehicle, I would either pick the Amsoil XL or the Redline. If I had something that really needed a lot of protection and it was kind of high heat, a lot of performance going on, it would be Redline. If it was just a semi-performing vehicle, you know, like a 500, 600, 700 horsepower vehicle, Amsoil XL. If it was something where I was really starting to put a lot of power and I was off-roading it and things were getting hot, I'd go Redline all day. But just for everyday vehicles on the road, Pennzoil Platinum Ultra by far, hands down. Thanks for sitting through this video. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Have a great day. I know it's long, but that's the complete breakdown. Let's go downstairs real quick. I think I might have had a package delivered so you guys can see that I do have the oil that I said I was going to have. Well, it wasn't my rivet kit. It was an adapter that, or it wasn't my oil. It was my rivet kit. It's an adapter that I bought that you put on the end of your drill, and your drill drives this and pulls this in, and that's how you do your rivets. Now, the reason I ordered it is because we're doing a lot of recalls on the under hood, on the under shield thing on the F-150s, and I need something smaller to get in tight spaces, and that's what this is right here. And then the other thing that showed up was my shirt, or my jacket, my zip up. That's pretty dang cool. And then on this side over here, pockets go further. We'll just have to wait for the rest of it to show up. But as I said, I appreciate you guys sitting through all the shenanigans. I'm home for 4 days by myself. Dog's sitting. This Blondie. Okay, that Blondie that just left. Hey, Blondie. This Blondie. And this Salt and Pepper girl. Love y'all. Take care. Have a great weekend.